everybody. Welcome. It is UK Cowboys TV Season 1, episode number 64. And it is the continuation of the Positional Breakdown Series we're doing. This week, we're on to defensive backs. So quite a list to get all the corners, all the safeties. But in order to do that, we have the standard issue of people and analysts. I don't know. I was trying to be clever, but it didn't come out right. The standard issue here. So we've got Wales, Scotland, England, and Ireland here today. So we got Jamie from England, Brian from Ireland, Paul from Scotland, and myself from Wales. How are we all doing, guys?
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, we're all good.
All good. Nowhere near as bad as our Jamie, though.
Oh, I know. If anyone doesn't realise what we're on about, his beloved Leeds United have been promoted to the Premier League. So congratulations to Jamie and the Leeds United team. So congrats, mate.
Cheers, man. It's some good celebrations.
It's been a long 16 years, my friend.
Yeah.
Feels like
those late Saturday WhatsApps and video messages were much appreciated.
Here's my question, Jamie. Have you got in touch with Big Jeff yet? Big Jeff Rimbaud? Have you got in touch with him in regards to Leeds United?
To be fair, I probably best check my DMs on Twitter because
you've not checked them since you won the championship, aye?
I did.
Well on it.
But I mean, at least you can let the hangover die down and then get ready for the weekend and party up again.
Oh yeah.
I'd say he'll be partying tomorrow night.
I expect nothing less. Honestly, we should know Jamie by now. We expect nothing less.
You're gonna get a phone.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We'll just make sure all our phones are turned off.
I know I'm maybe going off on a tangent, but it can't be as bad as one of my work colleagues, right? So whenever he gets absolutely steaming out his nut, he does a documentary of his Facebook statuses saying, going for a baked potato. Damn, the baked potato shop is closed at 2:00. What am I going to do? Like, he just documents everything and he's absolutely out of his face. I'm just like that's my entertainment on most Saturday nights is just reading these statuses. So don't be that guy. Don't be that guy, Jamie.
He Snapchat was pretty good the other day, to be fair. Your mate, get drunk at the bottom of the stairs. That was funny, Paul. I had a good laugh at that.
What are you talking about?
Right, so let's get into some news, League and Cowboys. We've got a bit of news going on. First of all, Dak, the deadline passed last week. He is officially playing on the tag for the year. No long-term deal. On the weekend, we had quite an explosion on social media. Pretty much the entire NFL in terms of players were on social media asking the NFL about, with training camp around the corner, what are the procedures? What's the safety precautions? What are they putting in place? I mean, it was crazy. It was everywhere. Yeah, quite a lot of fun, though, to watch it all going on. The NFL, in response to that, met with the NFLPA, and they have made a deal. The deal they've said is no playoff games and regular testing. So I don't know what we all make of that. Got any take on that?
Bit bizarre, in a way.
I mean, it is when you think they've had so much time to plan everything. This is the bit I don't get. You think, since the Super Bowl, when you knew of things going wrong in February, you know, with the virus and what have you, you've had up until now to put plans into place, to organise things. You know, these are people who get paid a pretty penny as well to organise things and do what it is that they do.
It's quite a lucrative, I can't even pronounce a lucrative job, regardless what you are in the NFL. You're going to get paid well failing, like substantially you're going to be well off, you know, so it's going to be weird to kind of see how this pans out. More than anything.
It'd be good to see more detail of the this no playoff, because then if there's no playoffs, if it's going to be run a bit like how the MLS are doing theirs at the minute, like a little mini tournament, then is there any point to of the season if they're going to be no playoffs, and then how do you determine who goes to the Super Bowl? And so is this pretty much just a null and void season? There's no point in playing just for the sake of it, is there?
Here's my problem. The NFL have had months and months to get a plan made out for this type of thing.
This is what I mean.
And we're like, what, less than 2 weeks till camp starts?
Less, yeah.
Right, and this is the thing that the players are getting really annoyed about, and I firmly stand with them on this. It's like, what is the plan? What are we going to be doing? What is going to make me feel safe where I can still play to the highest level? The players want to play. There is players that want to play, but they're having the exception, they're being more concerned about the health and well-being of family members and stuff, which I can totally understand. But at the same time, it's just the NFL have just not came out and done anything. They've not set any saying, this is what we're planning to do. We're going to add these restrictions in, blah, blah, blah. What they're going to do in the sideline for regards to social distancing, all that type of stuff. If you're not in the field, wear a mask or anything like that. There's nothing, absolutely nothing's been said about it. And that's what, and me as a fan, I'm kind of getting frustrated because that still remains the question: am I still able to go and fly over? Type of thing. All these questions as well for fans. Are they still able to attend? Obviously, the news about the New York Giants was that they're not planning to have any people attending the home games and stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, and Purdue in college.
So
it's not as if Giants have fans anyway.
Purdue. Yeah, but I mean, not Purdue, Rutgers as well. As someone said, that they want to have fun.
Yeah, so there's that, and I can totally understand from the New York perspective, despite how trash those teams are anyway. Sorry, Giants fans, but you do suck. But in terms of the actual state of New York, how they've been hit hard by the virus, I can totally understand that. So
it's just crazy to think as well that the NFL is arguably the leading sport in the States, yet they were one of the last to kind of try to figure things out. Yeah, you could look at maybe the MLS, how they've done it. It's not ideal, but they've got things there. The NBA was pretty quick to step in and get their season sorted and kind of say moved it to Disney, aren't they? And you're going to play Disney. And then, although the NHL was kind of a little bit behind, they've nailed down how they're going to finish the season. And there was all the fast with baseball, but they finally got that sorted. And like I said, it's just very surprising that the NFL is lagging the last ones.
And that's the final, Jamie. The NFL is supposed to be the creme de la creme of these of the sports. The most they are the most invested sport in America, right? But basketball, they got it done. They knew what they were going to do. It's okay, right? Obviously, no crowds. We're going to have to move to a neutral location. But I think they took that. A lot of that is kind of taken place what the Ultimate Fighting Championship have done. They've moved it to a specific location and took those precautions, and they've all learned from one another. So it's how's this environment going to work for a larger sport, for more people involved in one game or one match, or for example, and it's just kind of continue from there.
Well, I mean, in response to that, Tank has turned around and said, look, if you're not going to tell me, communicate at least anyway, and tell us what's going on, I'm not turning up to camp. And that is the result of that. And talking of camp, with everything that's going on, the rookies are there now. They've turned up. So rookie camp has started for these guys while all this is still going on. And, being the fact that you're a rookie in the NFL, you almost have less of a voice. Do you know what I mean?
See, I can see where the Marcus is coming from.
Totally.
I can totally get it. And I'm thinking from the more simple-minded fan. Just in general. It's he's getting paid so much money, he needs to show up. Yes, in theory, he does need to be there. And if he's not going to be there to show up, then obviously, something needs to be done in terms of docking wages. I do kind of feel strongly behind that, because it just seems a bit I'm trying to think about all the other players that are willing to make that work, and there's, but it's a really complicated situation. It really is.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong. There's good justifications behind it.
Yeah,
like,
totally agree.
If I just jump in here, I wasn't aware of the talk that there wasn't going to be any playoffs. I mean, I don't see the point of having a season if there's nothing to win. Like, how are they like? They've already cut out all preseason games, so effectively the first 3 or 4 games you play are your preseason, and then you're playing your more or less your normals. You'll be up to that standard where you're playing your normal season.
That's exactly it, right?
And you don't know what you're playing for. I mean, what's the point? You know, give it an extra 2 or 3 months. Say, right, okay, let's have preseason in September, October, November, and then let's play the season, and then let's play the Super Bowl. Push everything back. College have pushed games or schedules to the spring, so why would the NFL not do it?
Group of 5 have, the group of 5 teams have all rescheduled to the autumn now, to the spring. But the Power 5 are going to remain, which I think, mind you, if you think about that, right, if the group of 5, right, if a group of 5 are playing in spring and we still get Power 5 football in the autumn, we got 12 months of the year football.
Listen, I'd be happy with that. Would be happy with it, but at the same time, I'm just like, it's just going to be chaotic going forward to like scheduling for the professionals in terms of draft and
all that.
It's the onboard cycle. Like,
I think they pretty much said that the draft is going to be in June now. It's not set in stone, but I know the NFL and the NCAA have had talks to find out what's going on so they can schedule the draft around that. So you literally will get football over the next 2 years if it all goes ahead in September. You'll be getting football every month of the year. You know, something going on, because then once the group of 5 have finished their schedule, you've then got the combine, you've got the draft and all of that. That's all to come. So it's literally football 12 months of the year.
Yeah, and just how to break that down and separate it into like different gap terms for different conferences and leagues and whatever. And that, like, it's going to be a clusterfuck in the end.
It will be. Yeah. It will. Yeah, it's got a lot of head work. But moving on from that, the only other bit of news is Michael Bennett has officially retired. So he retired as a Cowboy. But I've got a feeling the Seahawks will bring him back on one of them funky contracts.
Like what they did with Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, and like what we did with Emmitt Smith. So they retire on that team. But that's about it for now on the news side. So let's get into, guys, looking at the positional breakdown series on the cornerbacks. We'll move on to the safeties later on. So we'll do it how we've done throughout the entire series. We'll look at the guys that, first of all, stayed on the roster that have been there last year, move on to the free agents, then the rookies. So we'll start at the top. A guy that everybody knows and is just got fingers crossed for this guy is Chidobe Awuzie. Now, he's 25 years old. This is his 4th year from Colorado, drafted 2017.
Drew Pearson's famous pick.
Yes, it was that one, that very one. Pick number 60 in the 2nd round. So he's officially still on his rookie contract of the last year. So there's nothing we can do about that. He is basically, as of from next year, if the Cowboys don't keep him, he's an unrestricted free agent. This year, 1.3 mil on the cap. Now, bear in mind, over the last 3 seasons that he's been with the Cowboys, last season, 2019, was his best, believe it or not. And each of the 3 years, he's been getting better. So there's the progressive ladder. Now, I always say, and I'll say this for any player, coming from college to the NFL, the first 3 years, the 3rd year really is the type of player that you're going to get. That once you get into that 3rd year of development, that's the sort of player you'll be looking at. So what the Cowboys got out of Jadobi in the last season was 79 tackles, 1 fumble recovery, 1 interception. But here's the big one. He had 14 pass deflections. I wasn't aware it was that many. That actually ranks 10th in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. And 1 tackle for loss. Now, he takes over the cornerback 1 position. Byron Jones went a walk-in. We're just hoping a bit of the Byron magic slipped in onto Jadobi. But go on, Brian. Give me your take to begin with on Jadobi and everything.
I would not say from the very start. I would not say Jadobi is our guaranteed number 1.
No,
I don't think we know who our number 1 is.
True.
I think the player we saw in 2019 was not good enough and is not good enough to be a true cornerback 1. He is not good enough to be a shutdown corner. He gives up far too much space, and there's a reason he had 14 pass deflections is because Byron Jones on the other side of the field, for the most part, had the best receiver locked down, so receivers were going to Jadobi's side. He gave up a lot of bad plays. He gave up a lot of chunk plays. He gave up penalties, and he really is just on a 1-year prove contract. That's what we have, you know.
Yeah. I think the question is, do we expect to, like, if he does have a good year, do we expect him to get paid more than usual? Like, you know what I mean? Like
contract, yeah.
Taking the same with Byron Jones, he was.
If he asked for too much, do you think we can easily just say goodbye? Pretty much,
yeah.
Let someone else take him. Pretty much.
Yeah, I can see them letting him walk. But the interesting thing with Jadobi this year is definitely going to be, does he play cornerback? Because there was talk post the draft about a veteran moving from corner to safety. So where is he going to play?
I don't know.
But the issue.
He
came out and turned around and go on. Sorry, Paul.
I was just saying I butted in through Jamie accidentally. so Jamie, what was it you were going to say? Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, when you mentioned about obviously his contract coming up, and we're going to see a Byron Jones thing here. This is what sometimes always pisses me off sometimes about players, that they don't perform to their ability to a lot of the time at the start of the contract. Gets to contract year, they ball out big time, get a contract, and then go missing now. And we're going to see that from him this year. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see him thrive, but
to
be fair, the secondary's been absolutely gash for the last few years. This secondary needs an absolute overhaul for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think to be fair to Byron, and I know he's no longer on the roster, but he was moved from here to there to everywhere, and it was only in his 4th year that he was settled at one position. And I think it's the only positive we can give Chris Richard was the fact Byron became a shutdown corner in year 4 into year 5.
Even his rookie year, he played corner, and I thought he was getting there.
But then he was moved to safety.
From year 2 and year 3, he was playing like safety. He was playing strong safety, free safety, you name it. And there was just, and we weren't getting that consistent. And it wasn't until last year you just knew he was our number 1 corner. Yeah. And look what's happened. Like, we should have just stuck with him at that same position. So I don't know why we kept moving him about. Like, and that's the one thing about Byron. Like, he is a tall player for corner. Like 6'2", 6'3", I believe.
Yeah. But it's more than anything. It was his athletic ability.
Oh,
and pretty much. And corner is where you have your most athletic players, no matter what. They're going to be your most athletic players.
Because I remember he was more a 3rd round prospect before the combine until he showed up, and he showed what he did with his broad jump and
his hops,
vertical.
The vert, yeah. Is hops were what it was. I think he broke the record on one hop on the Broad. He broke the record.
Oh, he did, yeah. He absolutely smashed it, and everyone's like, oh.
But yeah, we were saying it in the season, or I was certainly anyway with Chidobe, is that this is a guy that does 99% of the hard work, right? This is what's crazy, and I've never understood it. That when you watch him, he's on he's right there, and you're watching it. You're like, okay, you've done all the hard work. You've transitioned, you backtrack, you've turned, you've got your eyes. But for some reason, when the ball is there, he doesn't push his hand in and try and clog the ball. You're just watching it like, you've done the hard part. That's the easy part. It's just getting your hand up, bat it down. I say it's that's the easy part. Nothing's easy in the NFL. But, when you look at all the work that he does, that's the easiest part,
Here's the question for you, Mike. And this reflects to everything about the defense. What was the one thing that we really did lack as a whole as a defense last year?
Takeaways.
That as well. But I mean, tackling and just tackling and being physical, trying to get our hand to reach for the ball. There was hardly anything like that we were like. Yeah, there was tackles and that, but there was. I can't remember what game it was specifically last season, but there was so many deflected tackles. Like running backs were going right through us, wide receivers were just going left and right between us all, and just there was no instinct to just get the helmet in or get the hand in to try and pat the ball down or whatever. There was nothing.
Yeah. It was a very strange one with Judo. I said it many times. I was just watching, like, what the hell? You've done that. You've done the hard part. But somebody that was on our roster that was literally a UK Cowboys favorite. We was calling this guy out literally every game. Was Jordan Lewis. Complete opposite in terms of play style from Chidobe. But this guy, he's a little bit younger. He's 24 at the moment, but he'll be 25 later on. This is his fourth year, from Michigan, drafted in the same draft as Chidobe, taken 92nd. He's also on his in the contract year of his rookie contract, on the cap, 2.2 for the year. Just by the way, it's been structured. As of from next year, he's an unrestricted free agent. Guy also, 2019 was his best year statistically. 51 tackles. The big one, 4 sacks, which is pretty crazy. In terms of what that was, he actually broke a single season sack record, or didn't break it. He matched it for the Dallas Cowboys. 1 fumble recovery, 2 interceptions, 6 deflections, and he's got, although he had none last year, he does have 2 tackles for a loss in his career. But here's the most interesting part with Jordan Lewis, and I'll get your take on this, Jay, because I know you quite like special teams. He does have punt returns on his statistics. The longest being a 19-yard return. I think it's safe to say, given that you go off the expression, if you like, the more you can do, the more likely you'll stay. Do you think Jordan is a lock for next year, or has he still got to prove what he can do?
Before we go on to that, I think he was probably the shining light for that secondary last year. He was pretty much everything he was asked to do, he did. He did it to a fairly high level, but still couldn't get pretty much a starting spot. And I feel sorry for him. I think we've discussed this on previous shows with previous guests as well. That what and I know there's a lot of people said that he was a bit undersized, but what he lacks in his size, he makes up in other areas. And I just think more so just for him and his career. Not that I would like to see him go, but if he continues to play as he's been and he does everything, he'll have no choice but to move on. I think that it'll be taken out of our hands, even if we offered him a decent contract, because these guys want to play, these guys want to start, and what else can he physically do to get a start in a Cowboys uniform?
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's a crazy one with him that, by no means are we coaches or anything like that, but we're sitting here over here going, start the guy, play him more. What are they doing? And I think it wasn't just us. A lot of people were asking the question, like, why is it taking so long for the coaches, and more specifically, I think Chris Richard, to change his mind on him and play him?
Yeah.
And what happened is when they were, you were seeing the results.
Yeah. Like I think it was just a classic case of Chris Richard going, he's under 6 foot, he doesn't have the measurables that I want, despite the fact every time he came into games, he made something happen.
Mm-hmm.
And yet Richard kept going back to Awuzie, who in the second half of last season we saw getting burnt over and over and over again. And you're just going, how long can it happen? I think, what was it, 2 or 3 games before the end of the season that they finally made the call and said Lewis has to start.
Yeah.
And that was at a stage where
And
a guy,
what?
where Anthony Brown was injured and Byron Jones was your one.
If there's one thing I love about Jordan Lewis, he is absolute fearless.
Mm.
Like, do you remember when he was a rookie on the All or Nothing? I believe it was Jordan Lewis who went head to head with Des Bryant and ended up getting a wee bit of a twisty turn. I'm pretty sure it was Jordan Lewis.
Was it Jordan or was it Jadobi?
I don't think it was
Jordan.
I think it was Jordan Lewis.
Yeah, I think it
but that wouldn't have been the first time Des did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes this is sometimes what annoys me about the NFL, and you have this prototypical player that someone should be this size and this build, and I kind of get that in some aspects, but then you sit there and think, like you say, he come in and played. If he's undersized, I don't give a shit if he's undersized. If he can come out and flat out play, and like you say, like Brian said, he come in and he made a crap load of plays last year. If he's coming in and he's taking his chance, shit, put him in. I don't care if he's 2 foot undersized. If he's coming in and he's making plays, put him in. This, like I said earlier, this secondary's been gashed for years. If that secondary had 4 Jordan Lewis's, this secondary would be a lot better.
Like, I would see in a way. I don't really like. I tend to agree a little bit, but I don't like. I wouldn't say the whole century has been gashed. Like, there has been elements where we've actually had stood out and said, "Why can't we be like this all the time?" Like, there has been moments like last season in the Europe, there has, but it's just.
I know what you're saying.
It just has been inconsistent. It's like because normally, because like whenever you're playing, if you made a bad play like that, next play, don't do that same mistake again. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Sometimes they kept repeating the same mistakes. You're like, come on, fuck,
Yeah. But I mean, there was a guy you just mentioned. I think it was you, Jay, Anthony Brown. Now this guy was in his first year. I was like, oh wow, if we developed this the right way, you're gonna slam out a solid goal, Jay. He did, yeah. And I mean, we drafted him in 2016 in the 6th round, 189th overall.
And he's still here.
He's still here. Now, he is on a 3-year deal that's worth $15.5 million. So in 2020, he's $3.2 million against the cap. Becomes unrestricted free agent in 23. So, I mean, the issue we've got with Anthony Brown is he only played, I think it was 9 games last season. Injuries all over the place, little with him. But I think for me with this guy, and I've said I think he's the fastest guy on. You could argue that, and I have checked the numbers, and we'll get back to that in a minute. I've checked the combine numbers. it's how fast can you play in pads. It's how fast you can play in pads, right? Now, Byron Jones, yeah, he for me, Byron Jones, Anthony Brown, for me, is that double-edged sword, see, because he's a guy who can come in and play and help you on defense. But for me, the big thing for him is a guy that we'll talk about that next week, is special teams. I think on special teams, he's absolutely perfect for the role. But what do you guys make of Anthony Brown? Is he a guy? I know he's a bit of a lot of people, when you mention a name, you rub them up the wrong way when you mention Anthony Brown for some reason. Yeah. No, seriously. A lot of people don't like him. But go on then, Bri. I can see you want to give us a take. Give me your take on Anthony Brown.
I think Anthony Brown has, at every stage he's played and been injury free, has been a very solid player for us. He's contributed. He's stepped in, especially when we play nickel. He's always stepped in as that nickel corner. He's gotten interceptions. He's gotten around the ball a lot more than Cheeto, a lot more than Jordan. I know Jordan has more interceptions, but Brown is always there and thereabouts with things. So I'd like to see him hopefully being injury free for all of this year, and I think we'll see the player that he actually is. I think we got him as a steal in the 6th when we did. His first year, as you said, showed what he was, and he just hasn't gotten back to that level. And I think if it's the case he doesn't get back to this level in 2020, they could walk away from that contract. You know. I'm just looking at the roster of all our defensive backs, and the only 2 people I can see being on our roster next year are our 2 rookies, Trayvon Diggs and Reggie Robinson. Everyone else could be gone.
It is a way to go with a full purge, if you like, of the defensive back position.
Yeah.
But let's go to the next guy then, right? Let's get somebody's take on the next guy. Now, this is a guy that some people will argue is the fastest guy on the field, and I'll break down some numbers. But the Cowboys, Chris Westry, 23 years old. This is his second year at Kentucky, undrafted free agent in 2019. He's in, obviously, the second year of a 3-year contract. So this year on the cap, he's only worth just over 600K. So, yeah. Developing, no stats on him. Here's an interesting fact for you. When he was in college, though, he spent 4 years in college, played every single game, didn't miss a single one through injury. So there's an interesting fact. But here we go. Here's the numbers I was going to give you. That in the combine, he had a 40 time. Are you ready? So this guy is blazing fast. 40 time of 4.31. That is fast. Fast.
Yeah.
Now, Anthony Brown is 4.33. I thought I'd go check the numbers. And yeah, because some people said that Westry was the fastest. But to me, I actually think that Chris Westry, bit of a tongue twister, I think he's got a hell of a shot of making the roster and being on the field this year, my opinion.
Yeah, like I say, new coaching staff, so kind of everybody just clean slate. But the only, I know we touched on the combine numbers there, but what's the use of being blazing fast if you can't hit and make the play? And do you know what I mean? I know it's probably like I'm contradicting myself then. There's the plus point that he's going to get there, but some of these, and I think we'll all agree, some of these defensive backs just don't know how to hit.
The interesting part is Chris, although he can run really, really fast, he's actually quite tall as well. He's nearly 6'5". So you got the speed, the height, and he is ranging. He's got quite a long reach as well. I was looking at the numbers. I was like, whoa. But what you've got to remember is they took him. That would have been a Chris Richard pick, because that would have been when he was in. And that's just got, when you look at the numbers and everything, you're just like, right, okay.
Yeah.
That's definitely a Richard pick.
Yeah, definitely.
Without a doubt.
The physical attributes, definitely. His height, speed. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, really, really fast. And just like when I looked at it straight away, I was like, ooh, okay.
He's very lean as well.
Yeah. So, yes, Chris, I think personally, he's a guy that is, I think personally, right, it's going to sound a bit weird how I'm saying it, but I think he's locked at the moment to be on the roster and for us to see him on the field until camp gets going and we see what else we've got, see what we've captured, whether we captured lightning in a bottle with the other guys, which we talk about. But one of the other guys who is a keeper, if you like, from last year is CJ Goodwin. So he's quite a vet, actually. He's 30 years old, been in the league 5 years from California. Drafted, he was an undrafted free agent from the Pittsburgh Steelers back in 2014. Cowboys acquired him in 2018. So Goodwin's on a 1 year deal, 1 million. On the cap is a little bit less because obviously you've got incentives. He has had a decent couple of seasons. Best one was back in 2000 and where were we? Was back in 2016. So he has had one
with the Falcons.
Yeah, it was 30-ish, but for what he was asked to do wasn't bad. I don't know what you guys make on him. Last year, he was out with a broken arm, and then he spent the rest of the time on special teams. So another guy we'll be speaking about next week. Is this a guy worth keeping, do you think?
For special teams.
Yeah.
And probably just for the fact that there's so much uncertainty on in the secondary as a whole, because we lost our best cornerback in the off season. So even though we drafted relatively high 2 defensive backs, we don't know how they're going to pan out. Like I say, it's going to be a couple of years till we really see what we've got with those 2. So you could actually say that it's every position there or every part of the depth chart for the secondary is up for grabs because there's just so much uncertainty with it. So he's probably got a fair crack as anybody to make this roster, not just for his special teams, but say just for the fact that we don't know what we've got in secondary.
Yeah. But I mean, unless you guys have got a take on CJ, we'll move on to the free agent acquisitions that came up. We want to go for that. The first guy who I actually quite like, I watched a bit of tape on him, and he plays aggressive, is the best way to put this. And that's Darryl Worley, 25, 5th year from West Virginia, taken by the Carolina Panthers in the 3rd round back in 2016. Went to Oakland, now he's with the Cowboys on a 1 year deal. 1 million on the cap. Now, I don't know if any of you guys have taken a look at him. I actually quite like him. And his best year in 2016, in his rookie year, he nearly smashed 100 tackles. Not far going when you look at that.
That's actually quite crazy to think about that, actually.
For a corner.
Yeah.
For a corner, yeah. So I don't know,
because that should be linebacker stats. That.
Yeah.
He's got in 2016. So this is total tackles. I was just counting total. He was on 88 tackles. So, like you say, it is a lot for a corner. You can put in a couple of sacks, handful of interceptions, which is one of the reasons why he moved on. But one of the interesting things when you watch Darryl is watch him tackle. He absolutely lays the wood on each tackle. He does not care. And he drives with his feet, with the shoulder, and goes in hard. I would suggest looking at it. He is an aggressive player. Don't know what you guys think. It's a 1 year deal. for a mil. What do we think? Do you think this is a guy that we could possibly, because he's only 25 and he's into his, this is his 5th year. Is this a guy that if you can see enough, do you think there's going to be enough there for us to keep him? Because I know you said, Jay, that you could see all these cornerbacks pretty much going by a handful. Do you think Darryl is a guy that could stay behind and get a longer contract? What are your predictions on it?
I don't know about a longer contract. I say it's just. It sounds like I haven't personally watched any tape on him, but just from how you described him, like it just sounds like he likes to get involved. And like I said, if he likes to put a net on it there, and that's what you want from you. Your defensive backs, if they've got a one-on-one there, and I mean, if you lay that shoulder in there and you do what you can. So I mean, we've seen some awful tackling, not just from the Cowboys in secondary, but across the league over the last few years. Some of them just seem like they don't want to hit. They want to get paid, but don't want to hit. And he sounds like he wants to hit. So it'd be fun to see him if we get some sort of camp and, like I say, in games. It'd be good to see what we've got and if he can kind of carry that over.
Yeah. I mean, you were talking of bad tackling last year. This is a guy who doesn't bad tackle. He is efficient in his tackling. Attested to his best year. And if you look at each year as well, he's always got a lot of tackles. It's not like the thing that's let him down is interceptions. Well, we know about that. And his deflection. It's like 9. 1 year is 9. 1 year there's 7. Another year, a really good year there's 10. So, that's the reason why. And he has bounced around a few teams.
From the player I've seen in Darryl Worley, and a lot of what I've read in this off season, is that he is potentially going to start the season as your cornerback one. And
I could see that.
Yeah. Like maybe he's not a true cornerback one, but
it kind of seems like he's writing on the wall type of thing.
Yeah. Because as Mike said, watch the tape. The guy doesn't just tackle the player; he goes straight through the player. There's he leaves no room. He leaves no room for doubt. He uses every part of his body. He will launch at players with disregard for his own body. And
that's why he missed 6 games in the 2018 season.
Yeah.
Well, he in fact has injured players as well because he does truck into them. I can't remember who it was, and the player had to go out for the game. That's a thumper when you got one of them. But on the flip side of the guys who we acquired on free agency, there was another guy, Maurice Kennedy. So 26, 5th year this year. From Virginia, drafted in 2016 by the Baltimore Ravens in the 6th round. He's on another guy who's on a 1-year deal, a little bit more on 1.2 mil deal. Now, this guy, if you go to look at it, I mean, even in the last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this will be his 6th year then. No, it is his 5th year. Sorry, I do apologize. Yeah. He bounced off 2 teams last year. But even if you just look at what he's done in the last 5 years, he's only been in 32 games in 5 years. In 5 years. That's like 6 games. Yeah. So his stat line's pretty light, I suppose is the best way to put it. But ironically, of all the seasons he's had last year, 2019 was his best year, where he managed to get an interception. So last year was the first time he's ever intercepted the ball. And he had the most pass deflections with 3.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you guys, if you've got a take or a scouting report, anything that you want to give on Maurice Kennedy. And then we'll move on to the next guy. Anyone got anything on him?
As you say, you've alluded to it already. He's a bit of a journeyman, bounced around.
Yeah.
It's a look. Let's see what you can do. It's a camp body potentially that they could just get out of that contract very easily. I think Mike McCarthy has been plain and straightforward in what he has said about what he wants from his secondary. He wants guys who are going to create takeaways, create turnovers. He wants to see a differential in the plus, which we haven't had for years. He wants to see us in that top 10, top 15 range. And I don't know if Morris Kennedy is going to be a guy that's going to be able to help you with that.
Yeah, the way I see it is he's nothing more than a squad filler. I know it sounds harsh to say, but based on history, like his rookie season, he played 4 games, 2017 8, 2018 7, 2019 8 games, and 2019 only 5 games. So he's not even he's not played more than half a season. He's not played 9 games. He's only managed to complete half a season.
I don't have the cap numbers in front of me, but I'd be pretty confident that if you're looking at it as a choice between Morris Kennedy and Chris Westry or CJ Goodwin would be your winner there because he's a lower cap hit, you know.
And plus, don't forget
special teams ace.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. But another guy who's probably played even less, if we're going down that road, was Deontay Burton, 26, his third year in the league. He was an undrafted free agent for the Atlanta Falcons, so we're going back there again, in 2017 from Kansas State, right? Now, I'll come back to that in a minute, but he's on a 2-year contract with 1.2. In 2021, mind you, he's a restricted free agent, so we got a bit of play with that. But bear in mind that he's from Kansas State, and he would have been there during Bill Snyder's time. And this is a guy who can find the diamond in a rough. He's done it countless times. But Burton, he's literally 2018. He managed to play 3 games. And that's it. In that time, though, in those 3 games, he did cause a forced fumble. In one of those 3 games. I don't know which one. I didn't check. But if we're talking camp fillers, do you think that is, or do you think there's something there, guys?
Yeah, I think it sounds the same as Paul just mentioned on the previous guy. So it's a camp filler, and like you're saying, if you're lucky, you've got someone that could maybe be, like you say, maybe 4th, or if you take a 5th corner into the season. I don't think it sounds any better than that. Not disrespecting, like I say. So you're probably looking more special teams, aren't you? As his way of finding.
I mean, you know, we're going to be doing special teams next week, but these are the sort. You know, the trouble is cornerbacks, like especially these sort of corners, are the guys that end up being, you know, your gunners and all the rest of it on special teams. So it falls into play here. And the last guy that was taken on free agency, and we'll move to the rookies, which we can enjoy talking about again, is a guy that was taken undrafted in 2019 by the Jacksonville Jaguars, is Savion Smith, 22. This is going to be his 2nd year, but he did play in Alabama. He's got no start line with the NFL, but he's on a 2-year deal with the Cowboys, $1.4 million deal in 2020, just over $600K on the cap. Anyone got a take on this guy at all?
He is a guy to watch in camp, because as you say, he did play in Alabama. But he also played, I'm not sure if it was XFL or whatever that other one was, the hybrid that they went for before the season.
What the AFL?
AFL, yeah.
Or whatever it was.
American Football League. Yeah, the AAFL.
AAF.
Yeah. He did play in that, and he did well in that from what I saw of it. And as you say, he's earned himself a 2-year contract with the Cowboys. Anyone that goes to Alabama has to be of a good standard. They don't carry guys that are no good. So let's see who we've got, and let's see what comes through camp with him.
Go on, yeah. Sorry, Paul. I'll come back.
It was nothing to do with Savion Smith. I think we may have missed another player out. DJ White.
Go on then. Hit me with it.
Like he's still currently on the Cowboys.com website at the moment. 2016, he played for Kansas City. 2017, he played for the Colts. Only played 2 games, and in 2018, he must have been out for the season, and he actually showed up for 1 game last year. DJ White.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
Number 36 from Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I got you. Okay. We'll come back to DJ White. Yeah.
Sorry, but I just thought...
to see. Go on, sorry.
No, I was just saying sorry about that. I just thought we may have missed somebody out there.
Well, the idea is not to miss anyone out and go through everybody and get a take. I'll get on to that now, but let's move on to the rookies. So first of all, let's get on to probably what could have been a first-round pick for the Cowboys. Could have been a first-round pick. But we got him in the second round. It is, of course, Trayvon Diggs from who we just mentioned, Alabama. So I'm going to get all of your takes on this. So I will start with Jamie. Jamie, give me your take on Trayvon Diggs. What do you foresee for him on the depth chart and for the season?
Oh, I think, like you say, rookie, so I don't think he's going to start. I don't think he's going to be your 1 or your 2, is he? He's going to see the field quite a bit. Absolutely loved the pick. Like you say, you could potentially say that could be a steal. I mean, this kid could have been a first-round pick, and like you say, and Brian mentioned it earlier, he played in that Alabama defense. Alabama don't mess around with defensive players. Alabama have always been notorious for having a great defense. He's from that long line of great defensive backs. So, I say probably give him a couple of years, and I think he'll probably make his way to a 1 or a 2. But I think going into season 3, maybe a push without kind of contradicting myself. But it's going to be a project going forward, but I say he's still going to see a lot of time. I don't think we'll heavily put my teeth in, heavily rely on him on defense. Like I say, to come in and start and complete 16 games, I just think that's a bit too much of a push for any rookie, to be fair.
Yeah.
Brian's shaking his head. Brian's gonna slam me, right? I think I'm on the same boat with Brian here.
Yeah. Go on, man.
Go for Paul.
Wrong, I really do.
I generally think Trayvon's going to be to kind of fit within the system straight off the bat. I really do. Because you want to kind of get him in as early as you can, get him established as much as possible, so therefore he can be that number 1. The more reps, the better for him. So he's going to see a lot of practice reps throughout training camp, and it won't surprise me he would. Like, maybe not so much from game 1 to game 4, but from game 4 onwards, you could probably really expect him to be one of the number 1 corners. Doesn't matter what side it is.
Yeah. I'm gonna fully back Paul on that. I think the fact that Trayvon Diggs was being considered at number 17 shows how highly the Cowboys rated him. The fact they got him at 51 is a steal for me, and I'm going to go on the record and say this. I think before the end of the season, he will be our cornerback number 1, and I have a feeling he could be in the conversation for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think he's going to absolutely stun us.
Hot take.
That's a big hot take.
I think
considering the type of players that are in this rookie draft class this year.
Yeah.
Wait, hold a minute. I'm going to counter argue this actually.
Go for it.
You're going to go against my Neville Gallimore? Really?
Like
I was waiting for that, you know.
Yeah. Well, no, I think if you look at Diggs and the confidence he exudes out of himself, we have had cornerbacks who've come in and been nicey nice, and I'm happy to be here. Trayvon Diggs has come out and he has been not afraid to embrace the fact he's a Dallas Cowboy. He asked for the number 31 jersey, knowing it was Byron Jones' jersey. That's a sign of confidence. I'm sick of Cowboys players being too nice. Apart from Jordan Lewis, every one of them has been too nice. Yes, sir. No, sir. 3 bags full, sir. Shove it up your ass. I want a guy who's gonna absolutely go out there, smash players, and tell them, I've just smashed you. Are you coming back for the next rep?
I would love to be proven wrong on that, and with the tips you and Paul just put forward, sounds like I'm going to be. I'll be happy in that aspect.
Now, Brian, don't hate me for this one, right? But are you trying to say that Jeff Heath was too soft?
No. We haven't gotten to safety talk yet.
Brian's that segment now to be cut out when before it goes live this year.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if you want, and I'll find it for you later. If you want to know how good Trayvon Diggs is, there's actually a video of, bear in mind, Stephon Diggs in the NFL, fairly good wide receiver, one-on-one, because they're brothers, and Trayvon Diggs is winning the battle every time.
He's kicking his ass.
He is. Honestly, he does.
Yeah.
He's all over him.
To go back to what Paul said, I have a Jeff Heath-shaped hole in my life, and I think Trayvon Diggs is going to fill that hole.
Oh, is this another scoop, Brian? You're going to go out and going to buy his jersey, and you're going to have the he's the new GOAT for you.
I think he's going to be the new GOAT for me.
There
you go. Full of hot takes on Trayvon Diggs. and now I've blown him up so much, he's probably going to be a bust.
I can't see that. With him.
Brian,
He's definitely not going to be a bust. Yeah. He's not going to be a bust. But let's go on to the next guy. The Cowboys took was Reggie Robinson, taken in the 4th round from Tulsa. I've got this guy as a slot hybrid, looking at his size, but the guy is tall, rangy, and fast. I think this guy, if you were saying, I was saying that we thought that when we took Anthony Brown in the 6th round was a diamond in the rough and a brilliant pick. I think this is just on that level, you know, that you'd be like, what, he was taken in the 4th round? And you're like, yep. And you'd be like, wow. Like that sort of deal. But I'll go back round the horn again with you guys. Jamie, give me your Reggie Robinson.
Yeah, like I say, I think when the pick came in, I think Cowboys Twitter just blew up. I think a lot of people expected him to be long gone before that pick came in. Like I say, it proves to be a diamond in the rough. Like I say, you always look for kind of these guys, don't you? That someone you can work with. And it's a positive. It's a massive positive pick. And like I say, it's one that can instantly help to transform this defense. And like I say, more for it. Like I say, I think it just shows. Like I say, sometimes you get that feeling, don't you? You can kind of tell how good of sometimes a player is just from the kind of the gain he gets on social media. But literally, I don't think I saw anybody slag this pick off when it came in. No. And I say any help as well that this secondary can get, I am all.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Go on. if you give me your take, Paul. I know we've spoken before about him, but go for it, mate.
Well, to be perfectly honest, that originally when we drafted him, I didn't have a clue who he was, to be perfectly fair, until you started talking about him, Mike, and sent me the video footage of him. And from looking at the footage of him, he seems well equipped to be one of those type of players who can actually make an impact. So, but the way I'm kind of seeing it is like the more corners that we have, the more competition, the more it's going to elevate it, and especially under the new coaching staff, it's a lot more to play for. They're going to be hungry to try and win a spot more than ever. To me, because to me, like obviously with previously with last year and that, like with corners and stuff like that, there was always preferences. With a new coach, it's a free for all now. And McCarthy's always kind of been that type of coach. To kind of like, doesn't matter if you're on X amount of dollars a year, if someone else is outperforming, he'll still kind of like tend to play him based on putting best players available, and he's always done that. Like, and I know I'm kind of drifting off a little bit, but he's done that with wide receivers over the years. How many Packers wide receivers have we known over the years that nobody really has a clue about, and somehow Rodgers still gets the praise about it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And the same goes with the defense. Like,
Like,
go on, Jay.
I was just about to add something else on top of that. So it's like, with regards to Reggie Robinson, this could be one of those ones where we just don't know what to expect. Like, this could be one of the ones that can be where the hell did this guy come from? Like, so that's my take on it.
Go on, Jay.
No, I was just going to say, like as Paul mentioned, like, I mean, like there's going to be a lot of competition there to get a spot, but also because of the whole situation that's going on around the world with the pandemic, there's going to be less time in camp. There's going to be less reps for these rookies to get. Like you say, all it needs is someone to grab the bulls by the horns, so to speak. And if anything, you know, since we've had a hot take on it, I could see him potentially then being this year's Dak in terms of he gets an opportunity and he runs with it and he doesn't look back.
Like for me, the take on Reggie Robinson is I think he's going to get a lot of game time this year, and I don't think he's going to be limited to playing at cornerback. I think you are going to see him come in and play some safety. I reckon you're going to see him playing some strong safety, but also some free safety as well. And McCarthy is going to figure out over this season, if there is a season, what he has in Reggie Robinson and where he wants to play him. Looking at our safeties again, there's a lot of them are gone next season. So McCarthy is going to figure out, right, is this guy a free safety? Is he a ball hawk? Is he a strong safety and is going to smash players in front of him if they get there? And that's what we're going to find out with this guy. I agree with you on the take that this year's Dak Prescott if he gets an opportunity. Yeah,
and I'm with you. I think he's going to be that hybrid. He's going to be a slot hybrid. That he'll play some slot, and then when he's not doing that, he's in the box. He's covering inside the box, playing as a strong safety, taking on tight ends, you know, because he's got the physicality and the strength to do it. You look at him; he's a bulky guy. I mean, I like it. I liked all the picks this year, so I can't really say much. Maybe not as much as certain somebody over one particular pick. But that is the corners. In terms, though, mind you, Paul, of DJ White, I went back and checked, and he was waived on the 1st of May, my birthday.
Sorry, can you say that again?
DJ White was waived.
Oh, was he?
That's why he's not. Yeah, he was.
Right, okay.
He was waived on the 1st of May. Which is why there was that bit of crossover there.
Yeah.
But let's look at the safeties, guys. That's all right. You know what it's like. They got to update rosters and what have you. But I went and checked. He has been waived. So he's going to be looking for a job. So, yeah. Xavier Woods, then. We're going to look at the safety. Xavier Woods, first of all, because we look at the guys that remain. 24. This is his 4th year from Louisiana Tech. Drafted in 2017 in the 6th round, 91st overall. Now he's still on that rookie contract. It's the contract year for him though, so nothing you can do about any of that. His stat though is 2019 again, last year. Give him a bit more of a role with the way the roster was structured, mind you. Last year was his best year. 77 tackles, 2 forced fumbles. So that's pretty good. A fumble recovery, 2 interceptions, 5 pass deflections, and strung in a couple of tackles for a loss as well. But what do you guys all make of Xavier Woods? I know a lot of people during this draft, as we were on draft talk with the rookies just now, a lot of talk was about safety. Grant Delpit, Xavier McKinney as well. There was a lot of talk. Kyle Duggar, even from Lenore Rhine, was one of the people that came up as being a guy we could have drafted, but we didn't. And one of the guys in the corner saying, don't draft safety, I've got this, was this very guy, Xavier Woods. What are your guys' takes on his style of play and talent level?
I love him. I love Xavier Woods.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, with last year was probably his best season, even though he missed one game, but 77 total tackles, 52 solos. He's had 2 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions. I mean, I think he's actually had the most takeaways from the whole defense. Out of the whole defense, am I right? He's had the most.
Like in a season, like
yeah, in last season, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
I think himself and Lewis both had 2 interceptions, and that was the most we had from anyone.
Like, if that was so, if I felt as though there was someone in the secondary that did have that little bit of consistency, it was Xavier Woods, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. I'd go with that and say, yeah, he, in terms of secondary, he was the most consistent. Maybe not right up there in terms of talent, but look, you got to say he's still developing.
From the rest of the bunch, yeah.
Yeah. And what you got to look at as well with Xavier is he's been there since 2017, and he has been, for the most part of it, buried on the depth chart when you look at the guys that were there before him. So really, last year was his first year to shine. But
just to add on top of that, though, Mike, like, funny you just mentioned that. Even in his rookie year, he still managed to get 33 solo tackles, even though he was more of a depth player. And same with the second season, 39 solo tackles. So he's like, even though he was like on the depth, like just coming in, like maybe for third downs and stuff like that, he was still producing whenever he came on. And we were dying for him to get that starting opportunity.
And he got it. And I would say that last season, if he was to say, was his season a pass or a fail? I'd say it's a pass.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Despite how the rest of the defense played. Absolutely.
Yeah, like, exactly. That's what I mean.
Because for all we know, he could have been doing 2 jobs at once, for all we know. I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry.
What you've
I'm sorry, but let's be honest. Like, Heath was injury prone for the most of the time.
Yeah.
Right. And Woods had to kind of more or less kind of play 1.5 times the player to ensure that for coverage, reads and coverage.
Yeah.
So no, it's not a diss towards, like, I love Jeff Heath, like, regardless. I do love Heath. I do.
Yeah.
I just kind of feel as though, like,
yeah.
It was a bit.
I think if you look at our safety play as a combination last year, like, I think Heath and Woods played the second half of 2018 together as the starting safeties. And yeah, you're correct. Jeff Heath was banged up to fuck last year. He was not the, and I, like, everyone knows my love of Jeff Heath, but he was injured all of last season. He's never been a superstar, but he's been a dependable and solid safety for us. He came in, did his role when he wasn't a starter. When he became a starter, he was he was good. He was leading. He was leading in interceptions. He was leading in tackles. And last year, he got injured early and stayed injured for most of the season, and we had nothing. We had nothing to bring in at safety, so Jeff Heath had to play through the pain. And as you say, I think it's a very fair call to say that Xavier Woods had to play 1.5 and Heath was playing as a half because there was nothing behind them to back them up.
Yep.
And that is more of a knock on the fact the Cowboys have not invested in safety since Darren Woodson and Roy Williams at safety. They've ignored it, and it's to their detriment.
And this is kind of goes back to the whole discussion. It's like back at the draft, I was more so invested, like, should we go for a safety? And there's obviously the non-stop talk about a certain New York Jets player, which seems to be still lingering about, which I'm not for one, like, I would love them to be there, but I'm not willing to trade for it. I think there's other players that we can actually have instead.
Yeah. Paul just touched on it there, but we might as well just address the elephant in the room, aren't you? My take on it is that the safeties that are on this roster are battling for that second spot. The main starting safety for the Cowboys this year is not currently on the roster. If the Cowboys want to go places this year, the Cowboys have to go out and get Jamal Adams. I'm sorry. I said it before the draft. Although I loved our first round pick, the Cowboys have to go out and get Jamal Adams. This secondary has been, I've said it before, it's been awful. We're lacking, we've lacked leadership, a lot of leadership at the time. We've lacked big plays. The Cowboys need to go out and get Jamal Adams, and then people like us are the ones that are playing at the side of him, or are coming in when we need to take Adams out for rest. But the Cowboys that have to go out and get him, that's just we need him.
I'm not arguing against it. I just don't like the idea of having to give away a first round draft pick.
I think,
that's the only thing that is like.
Yeah,
I would love to have Adams. If we can even just get him for a second round, I'll be like, oh, happy days. But that's not ever going to happen because the type of high caliber player that he is. Yeah. But
I think it's more so because of the offense that we've got. Yeah, we lost. I know we're talking obviously about the defense, but in just terms of we seem to be able to cope. As much as Travis Frederick is obviously the best centre in the league, we look like we'll be able to kind of. We're not going to make it much of a massive, like you say. We've got someone that can come in and we can fill that. So with what the offense is and what that front seven of the defense is, I just think it's probably a better time to give up the first round pick now, because obviously because of where we were in the draft that's just gone, it was fairly high. So the first round pick next year for what this team could be it could end up being a mid to low 20s pick. So you could essentially giving up a second round pick for Jamal Adams. Yeah. That's why I probably would do it now rather than in the
That's
draft.
Fair.
The high pick on it.
Here's one for you though. Oh, go on. Sorry, Jay. Sorry, I didn't interrupt.
Just the fact that even at where we drafted at 17, you was, even though obviously we got CeeDee Lamb, that you was, if CeeDee Lamb would have been there at 17, you were still going to get an exceptional player at 17, and that's why, even though I kind of was advocate of saying, look, yeah, we need to probably give away the first one, when you kind of, as the draft went on and you were seeing people there, and I was thinking, I don't know if I really want to give up a first round pick this year, because there's going to be an exceptional talent there. I can't envision us picking inside the top 20 in the next draft, so that's why I would probably say give it up now, because of what we are at the minute to what we could be with Adams in that secondary. That's going to be a mid to low 20s pick that the Jets would get.
Okay. But I mean, we'll move on to the next guy on the depth chart, and then I'll give you a quick thought on safeties and tell me what you guys think. Next guy, Darian Thompson. So he's 26. This is his 5th year in the league from Boise State. Drafted in 2016 by the Giants in the 3rd round, picked 71st overall. He's on a 2-year deal. So in 2020 on the cap, he's 1.8 against Cap Mel. Stat line basically is last year's stats: 45 tackles, 1.5 sacks, a fumble recovery, 3 pass deflections, but quite important, 3 tackles for a loss. So the guy can break through. But looking at Darren Thompson in comparison to Xavier, I think it's safe to say that these two guys are completely different types of safety. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You're looking at one that's playing more centre field. You would cut him?
Yeah, I don't think he's done anything to prove that he's worth keeping. And especially reverting back to the fact of what Jamie talks about.
I was just kind of agreeing that he's a completely different player towards Woods. That's what I'm agreeing on.
Yeah. That you've got Xavier Woods, who's more like your centre fielder, and Darren Thompson is a guy that plays more closer to the line. It is definitely an assurance there. But you think he's going, Jake? Do you think this is a guy, or are you still standing by the defensive backs, the whole lot? You think could go in, and there's going to be a complete change next season?
Yeah, I think I boldly came out and said, so I'm going to have to stick to that. But yeah, I think if anything, like you said, the two completely different players. But again, I think you're probably looking at if he makes the roster, you're probably looking maybe more special teams, just for the fact, like I say, he's bounced around, and no disrespect, but if someone like the Giants are not bringing him back, and I say that with the greatest respect, like you said, because you always look at it, don't you? But especially when a team like the Giants struggled as the Giants did, and if they're not going to bring him back, then you think, well, then is he really going to make an impact on this roster?
That's true. Yeah. Then the next guy is my boy, Donovan Wilson. So he's 25, his second year out of Texas A&M. Drafted in 2019, 6th round, 213th overall. He's in, obviously, his second year now.
They were doing a hookup on that. Heavy metal, mate.
That's more your style, actually. Heavy metal. But yeah, he's in his second year. He's only 700k against the cap. Very much developmental. I would agree with you last year that he's developmental, purely based on size more than anything. Stat line for last year shows, and more than anything, he played in a couple of games. From them, he got 2 tackles. But bearing in mind, for Texas A&M, he was a tackling machine. If you want to go back and just take a look, just have a watch, and you'll just see this guy just flying around the field. Not fast, but will be there at the right time. He'll cover ground, which is what's important for your safety, that they'll cover ground. But one thing that does stand out in my memory of Donovan Wilson was during preseason, I don't know if you remember, when he caught the ball with a toe tap on the sideline and intercepted the ball. I was even surprised. So I was like, hold on now. That's not really your style of play. But it just goes to show that he has underlying athleticism that we weren't aware about. For you guys, do you think he's a guy that is going to be staying on the roster? Do you think that this is a guy that needs to develop a whole lot more if there's going to be any hope of him continuing on with a contract beyond a rookie contract? What do you guys think?
I think he spent a lot of last year injured, and I think he's a small hit against the cap, and I think McCarthy is just going to want to figure out what have I got with this guy.
That's a fair statement. I can't argue with that.
Yeah, I think he's got a long way to go to develop, both in terms of his physicality, if you like, because you need them to be physical, and needs to develop as well to get into a rhythm and a speed with the NFL, which is a big thing. But the next guys are free agent acquisition for safety. The big, probably one of the biggest names that we picked up in terms of this, and a lot of people from Cowboys Nation cheered and clapped their hands when they hear this. It is, of course, Clinton Dix. So he's, believe it or not,
Watch
when I
out
looked
from
at this,
those bells.
yeah. Now, what's really funny is, to me, right, it feels like Haha has been in the league for like years. I don't know if you guys have got that feel. Like, you're just like, is he still in the league? He's what? And then when I had a look, he's only 27.
Yeah.
And I was like,
He was,
okay.
I think he was drafted in the same year as Zach Martin.
Yeah.
So he's been
2014.
Yeah, so he's been in the league since 2014 and that. But at Green Bay, he was absolutely solid in that. And
Yeah.
I think when he was at Chicago, he's kind of been hit and miss. But I think with him going back to, like, this is the way I'm kind of thinking it. So correct me if you guys feel the same. But I kind of feel with him going back to McCarthy, he's going back to his grassroots. What kind of made him that player. And and ended up getting that big contract through Chicago.
And obviously going back to what he knows. So McCarthy knows what he's got. Haha knows who he's dealing with. So there's already that familiarity going on. Yeah. But I mean, he was actually taken, because you got to remember that Mike McCarthy was there in the draft room when all this was going on. He was taken in the first round, the 14th overall pick.
Yep.
I liked the pick. One of my friends is a Packers fan, and he was like, like I say, there's something there. Like you say, he's still got age on his side, and he's got a heck of experience in there. He's played in a really good division as well. Which helps coming into the division where you're playing. And like you say. And even if he don't start a lot of games, which I could imagine if we just go for the fact that if we say that Adams doesn't get picked up, you would imagine he'd be one of them that starts. I say just more for the fact that McCarthy can trust him to play in the kind of system that he wants to play in, and he can help bring on some of the less experienced players that are going to have to step up into this new system after coming out of the old one that they played in. So it's definitely an exciting pick. Like I say, probably one of the most exciting pickups that we had this off season.
Yeah, definitely. It fills a void, and in another respect, he's been in the league 7. This will be his 7th year. So it fills a void in terms of position and experience.
Yeah, just looking over stats, and this, I completely forgot all about this, but he was traded in his final year of his contract to Washington.
That's right.
Completely forgot all about that, but even still, for those 9 games with Washington, 56 tackles in 9 games. Solo. That's solo tackles.
Yeah.
That's remarkable.
He's got a keen eye for knowing where to be.
So, and just looking over it, obviously with the exception when his final season with Green Bay, before he was traded, he only had 24 solo tackles, but within 2014 to 2017, all of them were above 60. And that's a good start.
Yeah.
All above 60 as a safety.
Heavy working. That's heavy working.
A lot of
heavy working.
And that's even with Chicago as well. He's still got over 60 solo tackles with 78 combined.
But you take a look as well. He's got the forced fumbles. He's got interceptions, and he's always got pass deflections. So he's showing his range of abilities as well.
And over the course of the years, he has passes deflected and interceptions as well.
Just on top of that, if you look at, like you say, he played in Chicago and he played in Green Bay, he played in 2 of the harshest environments in terms of the weather.
Yeah.
And he still
I still produce like that. That's
it can ball out. Like I say, you sometimes see players that used to playing in the hot weather kind of go missing in those cold cities. So this playing in Big D in a nice air conditioned.
This is definitely going to be a different climate change for Haha for sure, because Washington can be quite cold sometimes, and we definitely know Chicago can be. Chicago's not far off from Green Bay in terms of weather and stuff like that.
I was gonna say, Chicago and Green Bay are very alike.
Let's not forget where he played college football.
Alabama.
Tuscaloosa, Alabama. He's used to the good weather, but
Yeah.
I think it was either Jamie or Paul said this a few episodes back about guys sitting under the learning tree, and we don't do that enough. Clinton Dix is going to be a very useful player for us this year, but going into next year as well, because I can see McCarthy sitting Reggie Robinson under Clinton Dix's wing and saying, "You learn from this guy. This guy is able to do it all, and this is what I want you to be. So you learn what you can from this guy." I fully expect Clinton Dix is going to have a Robert Quinn type season. He's going to have a bounce back season. He's going to earn himself a huge contract next season, but we'll still feel the effects in 2021 onwards because he'll have passed on knowledge to Reggie Robinson or possibly Chidobe Uzie.
Yeah,
and we'll have solid centers.
Yeah, it's kind of weird you just kind of mentioned that there, Brian. Like even though it was with the Bears, like it wasn't like a big failure. He still produced quite a substantial good numbers in that.
Yeah.
But when he was more effective, he was definitely underneath McCarthy's tutelage for sure. More
Green Bay was where he was most effective.
Yeah. And just something to add on top of that, and it's just to add on top of what Brian just said. It's like this is probably the best scenario where other players can learn for this type of style of football. Like you've also got an Alabama corner as well.
Yeah,
and Diggs.
That's right.
So he can because they've obviously, I don't know if they still run the same system from when they played to get I know it's years apart, but it shouldn't be changed that much substantially. So they should know how things work and that how the secondary unit should function. So, and there's a lot of players that we've brought in just as the whole team as a whole in defense. There's a lot of learning that can be done, like D-line, Poe and McCoy, linebackers. There's Sean Lee, obviously, and obviously now we've got and obviously he's not got as much experience as the three players that we just mentioned, but he still knows how to bring play. He can still make an excellent contribution regardless if he's on the field or not.
Yeah, if you look at the season Eddie Jackson had last year with the Chicago Bears, I think Eddie Jackson was pretty close to All-Pro, and that was because he had Clinton Dix playing beside him. He allowed Eddie Jackson, another former, I believe, Alabama player, to perform to the level he could.
Now that you just mentioned it, now I'm kind of worried to see what is going to happen with Xavier Woods now. Now that you mention it.
Yeah.
If he balls out in that final year's contract, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. But that, I think, apart from one other guy that's on our roster, is a rookie we picked up, undrafted free agent, was Luther Kirk from Illinois State. Just looking at this guy, he's an ascending player. You were talking of Jamal Adams. When I was watching him play, reminds me of Jamal Adams. Covering ground, doing as much as he can. Very much that sort of guy. But I don't know, looking at whether I think he could be a practice squad guy. I've got that feeling with him.
I think so, because even look at his college stats and that, he's not really played much college games. I think he's played 9 games a season.
Okay.
Yeah, so based on that, hold on, let me just bring it up quickly. So, 2016, he only played 2 games. He missed the whole season of 2017. 2018, he played 9 games. Oh, sorry. No. Oh, sorry, I messed up, actually. This is the actual stats. So, 2016, 2 tackles. 2018, 9 tackles in total. 2019 and 9 tackles in total. But I think 2017, he missed out that whole season, I believe. If the way how things are projected on this.
But that would have been his freshman. That would have been
like
his freshman year.
Best, and then seeing what.
Yeah.
It takes some extra time, especially more so. I know I whinged a little bit about the safety position, but I say if you look at kind of who's in front of him as well, it's hard to find. He's going to find it hard to make his way. Like I say, even if he balled out in college, like I say, you're gonna find him getting a spot just for the fact that how many we're even potentially going to carry going into camp.
Right, so I've actually got his actual games appearances now, sorry. So 2015, he played 10 games. 2016, 12. Missed out completely 2017. 2018, he only played 11. And 2019, he played the most with 15 games.
That's for college football. That's pretty. That's a lot of games. Do you know?
That's a lot of games. Yeah.
But
and it's ascending.
Yeah, like I'll flip it back, and like the thing with college, you always have to remember is how many out of conference games and how many playoff games do they play. But I'll flip it back here just slightly and go. I think we're pretty set at safety unless the move happens. Like the Cowboys never carry more than 4 safeties.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at our cornerback chart, and I'm going, we carry maybe 6 to 7 corners. And I think the potential is you could lose Darian Thompson with one of the corners switching over, unless the move, and I think we should discuss this, the move for Jamal Adams happens.
I don't see it happening. I really don't.
Nah, I don't see it happen. If it was going to happen, it would have happened by now.
Yeah, and if that was the case, who are you going to cut to fill like for those safeties? Like you can only have so many guys at that position with a high enough contract. Like I don't see us cutting Woods.
I don't think it's a case of cutting anyone, because as I say, we only carry 4 in most regular seasons. So you can get away from Darian Thompson's contract easily enough. Kirk is a practice squad guy, if anything. So it's trying to figure out the potential of contracts and cap space for getting Jamal Adams in. And looking at Jamal Adams' contract for this year, it's not a huge hit. We do have the cap space to take it, but it's about working out the cap space next year and extending them, and what you have to give up to the Jets for that deal to happen. I think Jamie made the point well earlier on in the conversation. Safety is the one position that we lack a dynamic player. And if we could get a Jamal Adams in, you are looking at a late 20s pick, which is a second round quality player. So you could give that player up. And that's what we want. We want to make a deep run into the playoffs, potential Super Bowl run. We've said for a long time this team has a 2 to 3 year window. This is our time. We've got it. I think
Jerry knows that now. He knows it,
and that's why I think he's got to make that move for Jamal Adams. I think they didn't make this move because they were going, right, we're trying to focus on getting Dak Steele done. Dak Steele obviously isn't going to get done until next year, and now they have cap room and they have a potential player that they could cut who would free up a lot more cap room to make a deal happen.
See, I think was it Paul that touched on it earlier? He mentioned Darren Woodson. Now that's a long time not to have that kind of caliber player on a back end of your defense.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you look at defenses from pretty much all the Super Bowl winners, that they have high caliber. I'm not saying that we don't have good players on the defense, because we do. Like I said, that high caliber player. Like I said, we haven't had a standout safety since the 90s. That's just not good enough for a team who wants to or has aspirations to play in the Super Bowl every single year. We built the offense. the offense is still great, like I say, I mentioned earlier, even though we've lost Travis Frederick. The defense, we've built up an absolutely cracking front seven. Like I say, that to be fair, that front four probably could be arguably pushing to be the one of the best four league. But it's just and I think, to be fair, the secondary has been the issue for a number of years now for us. We're just years, and just like I say, but we need, for me anyway, that high caliber player. Like, I know about giving up certain things. If they wanted more than a first and a third, then I would be going as much as I would want him. I say, because it's a first round pick, but yeah, if anything more than a first and a third, then and maybe flipping, say, a fifth and a sixth. I'm not pull the trigger. I mean, you want him, but you're not going to be able to ransom for a player, like I say, especially somebody who's then going to command a massive contract as well.
Yeah. But I think, guys, unless you got something to add there, Paul.
Well, it's something else just to kind of add on to the thing with Jamal Adams. It's unrelatable in a way, but Eugene Lockhart's a family member of his, Brian Lockhart. I don't know if you know him, but he does a lot of sports agency and events for fans and stuff within the Dallas Cowboys community, and you see him all the time with Jamal Adams, all the time, and they're hanging about in Dallas all the time. So I don't know if that's something to kind of go on the way of things. I don't know, but the way how I've met Brian as well, like met him back in Dallas back in 2018 at the Jags game, and that nice guy. And obviously, I think he's nephew to Eugene. I don't know if it's his son, but they do look very alike. But like I said, like he does a lot of sports marketing and like charity events within the Dallas Cowboys community and that. But he is, like I said, if you go into Brian's social media, everything he posts now, it's about getting Jamal Adams into Dallas pretty much now. So I don't know if that's something we can fire off on as well. That might happen.
Yeah, I'm with you, trying to connect the dots.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of doing, like connecting the dots here. And also there's been the video of a random onlooker like in their car shouting at Jamal, like, when you come to Dallas, and you actually hear Jamal saying, "I'm working on it." Yeah. So there's that video that's out on the web right now.
Like I think, to be fair to Jamal Adams, and I know we've covered this in a previous show, but Jamal Adams has kind of said, I do want to play for Dallas, and has said it's not about the money. We all remember that Christmas game with Seattle and Garrett being approached by a certain safety who we all coveted, Longhorns legend, and then when it came to it, it was all about the money. Yeah. I don't think it's all about the money with Jamal Adams. I think he wants to win championships. He wants to be part of teams that are competing each year. And I think he would take a slightly lesser deal to come to Dallas if the terms could be agreed between ourselves and the Jets.
Instead of Hooker, I'm going like that.
Yeah.
Cross them.
Yeah.
But guys, I think we have covered the defensive back position. Usually our shows are only about an hour long, but as you can see, we're running on a bit. But that's just basically because there's just so much to talk about when it comes to defensive backs. Yeah. But that does go on. Sorry.
Can I give a special shout out to my goat? He has left a hole in my heart that might never be replaced. And I think we should all take a moment of silence for...
What about the new goat?
The new goat will rise, but the old goat shall be celebrated.
I'm surprised you pulled the jersey off the wall tonight and wear it just for the fact we were...
Yeah.
Jamie, I've cried into that jersey every night since he's left.
I think just as well we're not playing Oakland this year. Sorry, Las Vegas.
I know.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Las Vegas. Yeah. The Raiders.
the Dallas Cowboys, Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah. Because they pretty much got all of our team.
What did they get? 5 or 6 of our players?
Something mental, isn't
Yeah.
it? But that does mark the end of pretty much the defense. Well, it is the defensive positions all done. So that's the offense and defense. Next week, it's special teams. We'll quickly chuck ourselves into how we feel about the coaches. So the head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator as well. And that pretty much will end things there. There'll be one other show to finish off the season then. Go on, Brian.
Paul has already sent you the message.
yeah. But also, we give a shout out to our sponsor, Cowboys Experience, as well. If you're going to go to a game this year, make sure you book it through Cowboys Experience. They have tickets, game day packages, tours, and obviously you get to go to the event that they put on beforehand. So whenever you go, make sure you use the booking code UK Cowboys for an extra gift there, and send us your photos as well. We'll hook them up all over the our pages and Instagram and Twitter. So yes, that's Cowboys Experience. Make sure you do that. But for this week on UK Cowboys TV, from myself, from Jamie, from Paul, and from Brian, we'll see you all again next week.
How about them Cowboys?